well done. I appreciate the trophy is not the main priority this season, but you got through with a fair bit to spare.
I don't know whether it's not the main priority. It is the main priority. It's a game of football, and when you start at any game of football, when that whistle goes, priority sort of doesn't spring to mind, or where individuals are concerned. Certainly where team selection was concerned, people might have thought I played a weakened team because I made 5 changes, but them 5 changes have made one hell of a difference. And not only 5, there was 2 of them 5 changes were enforced through injury. So you could say wrapping people up in cotton wool was probably one of the main reasons for them too. But the other 3 were brought upon by the fact that I'd not seen Jim Callum play from the start, etc., etc. Digger hadn't played for a long time. I hadn't played for a while. Rhys Devine hadn't played since he's setback in his injury, and when you think about it, and we hadn't seen Seb around on the first team squad sheet or list for a long time. Every one of them stepped up to the plate, but the most important one was Ashley Hemmings when he grabbed a hold of the number 9 shirt basically and showed his best mate on the field to play how to stick the ball in the back of the net. All of them things were just a great fill-up for me as a manager who actually does embrace the challenge. He likes to see a group of players blending together and getting on with each other, and then when you name a team, you sometimes think when you name a side you're going to have fallouts in the change room, but it's not the arguments with me, because I'm the one that picks a team. But bottom line is, I think we picked a team to play against Slough in a certain way, and they certainly did that. Will the Slough fixture compared to the Marine fixture be the same kind of football? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be, having witnessed what Marine did here at Agra a couple of months back, I think it'll be a similar type of game to that, where they'll try and block us up, they'll try and be stubborn, they'll try and prevent us from playing the kind of football that we did play on Saturday. But it's been a headache, no doubt in my mind, since the 4-0 win. About what is my best team? Who is in that best team? Or do I have 2 decent sides? Do I have a group of players here that can, whether in the first 11 or the second 11, can represent Kidderminster Harriers in a positive way this season and get us to where we want to be?
You mentioned Ashley Hemmings. He must have given you food for thought in particular. I didn't see the game myself, but I'm assuming he went down the middle for this one rather than playing out wide, and you reap rewards of that, really.
Strange enough, I've been talking to Russell Penn, former manager here, who's interested in taking one of our players on loan, and there was no skullduggery attached to it. I just asked him about the partnership where Ashley Hemmings and Amari Morgan-Smith's concerned, and he eulogised about it, the way they finished the season in the National League last time around, and the rich vein of form that the pair of them hit at that one moment in time. But when I said I'm going to replace Amari because of a little niggle, a little injury that needed wrapping up in cotton wool, if truth be known, and I can't even say them words, Amari Morgan-Smith and wrapping up in cotton wool you can't say them in the same sentence. The lad is a robust, aggressive player, and cotton wool doesn't spring to mind. But pulling him out of that game, I think, was a bonus for him, because he's been total rest for 7-8 days, and something that his rib needed, if truth be known. But then his best mate in the team goes and bags a hat-trick, so that's a wonderful problem to have. But between the strike force and myself and Neil MacDonald have just been working out the potency of the front 3. There's 27, 28 goals with any one of the 3 that play, but in the main it's Ashley Hemmings, Amari Morgan-Smith and another. But that kind of potency is going to go into a game of football, and you're going to create chances. You're going to, on a decent day, you're going to put majority of them away. And that's what's happening at the moment. We're playing with a lot of confidence, we're playing with a lot of belief in the system, we're playing with a lot of belief that we can win games of football at this level, and hopefully that will continue.
When I interviewed you in this room after the Russell Olympic game, and I think I began the interview by saying he'd done so well at Hereford, it'd have been a bit like after the Lord Mayor's show against Russell, then you can't afford to do the same again this weekend, can you? You were so good against Sutton, again against one of the struggling sides in Conference North. You don't want that letdown again, do you?
So we've had a couple of Lord Mayor shows in the last 3 games, is that what you're saying? And the one in the middle was not quite
That barely made the councillor show, did they?
I think, if truth be known, Trevor, the blips or the mishaps or the small faux pas, the games that sometimes you can never understand as a manager, you do everything you possibly can, prepare properly for it, and then the result doesn't follow. I think that was definitely the case where Russell was concerned, but we had one against Guiseley, we had one against Warrington. There's certain games that you can go back to and readily say we weren't at the races in them games, or we did everything we possibly could do to get to the moment of putting the ball in the back of the net and then didn't succeed with that. And quite often the explanation for that is, that's the reason why they're at this level. But I disagree with that. I think at any one given time, if you can breathe belief and confidence into a group of players at any level of football, that belief and confidence will manifest itself with people putting the ball in the back of the net and looking fluid, looking like a team. And that's what happened on Saturday. We just got to keep believing. We've got to keep believing that's going to come again on Saturday, and then Tuesday, and then Saturday. It's a massive month. It's a massive month. And it's not just the fact that we've got so many games. We've got 3 unbelievable challenges away from home. When you look at the 3 away games, every one of them being on AstroTurf, every one of them being 1G to 4G in terms of the quality. But nothing goes past Saturday. The first game, Marine, is the most important game. If we can bag 3 points from that game, then we'll go into the Scarborough game with a bit of confidence that we can play on that kind of surface and play the kind of football that we want to play, and not what the surrounds dictate.
I know it's the same in every game you go out, but looking at Marine away, having seen them here, this has the look of a game where if you could get an early goal, you always want that every game, but certainly against a side like this, on their own patch, then they've got to come out to play, haven't they? And that would probably suit you.
I've looked at what we're like if we go goal down. I've looked at what we're like when we score an early goal. We do tend to go on and win games comfortably, but I've also looked at what our mentality is like, and that clean sheet mentality is something I pride myself in. And I think the players are buying into it, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of games where they've been tight and we've won them 1-0, but it's because of that clean sheet mentality. But then you tend to forget about clean sheet mentality when you win 3 and 4-0. I just know that we've got potency at both ends of the field of play, and what I mean by potency in a goalkeeper is somebody that's going to put his body and mind and spirit on the line in every game, and we've got that, but we've got people in front of them that are doing exactly the same. But defending and attacking, it starts with the front man and ends with the front man, if truth be known. We put a press on and we put the opposition under pressure. If Marine want to play a game of football and we put them under pressure and they pass the ball around us, then well played to them, but we'll have a game plan with regards to when we've got the ball and when they've got the ball, and that won't change. But if Marine decide to just play the kind of football that they played when they were here, and then it'll be a stubborn game, but that first goal will be vitally important.
You mentioned injuries. Amari, you touched on. I think Joe Fo's got a bit of a knock as well. How are you looking on that front?
We've been picking up little niggles here, there and everywhere, and it's the rigours of the amount of games first and foremost, but the temperature outside's dropped. People are you need some warming up these days. The surfaces are different, the conditions are always different, the opposition's always different. So, but that's football. Nothing will change where that's concerned. I think my chairman, the backroom staff, everybody is doing everything they possibly can to help me. If I wanted to bring a player in or release a player or bolster the squad, I'm getting a lot of support where that's concerned. And if we need 1 or 2 players in this wonderful month of January where it's absolutely freezing, I was driving through snow this morning, you wouldn't believe, and then all of a sudden when I get here, it was glorious sunshine for the training session, but it was still -2. But we've had a good session today over at Droitwich on the AstroTurf, and we had a good one on Tuesday, so we'll be prepared for the game on Saturday, there's no doubt about it. But I would like to add to the squad to try and bolster 1 or 2 places that I feel as if we're getting a little bit thin on the ice.
You mentioned, I mentioned Amari and Joe Fo's both got knocks. Does the fact you're playing on 3G come into your thinking if you've got a player carrying a bit of a niggle, because it is a different surface, like it or not?
Just as you mentioned that, it does come into me thinking, when you say it the way you're saying it, a lot of players back in the day would have balked at the fact that you've got 3 away games and all 3 of them are on AstroTurf and they're different surfaces and this, that and the other. We used to have an AstroTurf, but it was a 1G at Bolton Wanderers, and I never ever feared of training on there or playing on there, because that was my mentality. As soon as you don't fancy it, you know, that's it, you finish, you might as well not even start the training session. I don't think we've got that kind of group. I think we talked about in pre-season about building resilience. We talked about building robust players. The squad will be tested because there will be little niggles, and we will have 1 or 2 on Saturday that I won't mention because of the opposition might just pick up on it, and you know, we don't want to weaken our hand before we even go into the game. But you know, 1 or 2 will miss the game. There's no doubt about it. And they're down to training. They're down to training schedules. You know, the fact that we're really having a go in training and nobody's pulling out, and a lot of people have always questioned that way I'm concerned. I like a full-blooded training session, me, and if you build up that resilience and robustness in training, then you carry it into the game on Saturday. We're going to need that resilience and robustness on Saturday against Marine. They're not going to be easy. It's going to be stubborn. It's going to be hostile. You're behind enemy lanes, and we've got to be sort of, I don't know if you've been watching that SAS Rogue, it's fantastic, and what a show that is. I think that's a bit of the tactics that we're going to have to employ on Saturday.
Well, since we last spoke, you've announced, the club's announced Reece Devine's got an extension to his deal. Are we likely to see any more such announcements in the coming days and weeks? Other players you're going to extend?
We are talking to 3 or 4 of the players, existing players. We're talking to 1 or 2 players to come in and give us a hand in terms of strength in depth. I think we're not thin on the ground or weak in any positions. I think if we look at the 4 central midfield players that we've got, and we looked at 2 on Saturday, and we had a serious look at 2 against Hereford, which, you know, I thought the 2 on that day, Zach Brown and Riley Reynolds were outstanding for this level. And then 2 games later, all of a sudden you've got Digger Davis, who's played the majority of his career in the Championship, and Jim Kellerman alongside him. So we've got a lovely competition for places for them 2 positions, if not 3. I'd like to have that all over the field of players. Sometimes you cannot afford that. I understand that, but and other times needs must, and that's when the chairman opens his ears and then hopefully opens his purse, you know. But I'm not going to, you know, willy-nilly throw money away to just bolstering the squad, because at the end of the day that can have a negative effect as well as a positive one. But at the moment things are going, fingers crossed, okay. But we will get more challenges, there's no doubt about it, in January and February.
Final point, I think tomorrow is your first anniversary of being here. 12 months under your belt. What do you think you've learned about this league, and also perhaps about yourself as a manager in that 12-month period?
What I've learned about myself as a manager, I think is important, that you have no divine right to be in the Premier League, you have no divine right to be in the National League North. Management is management, and wherever you find yourself, it's a case of getting on with it. I've learned a lot about myself with regards to the relationships that I have with players now. I'm very close to my group of players here, probably as close, if not closer, than I ever have been. And I think that proximity is key to any kind of relationship going forward, you know, individually and collectively. But an anniversary at a football club being 12 months is a step in the right direction. I think the average lifespan is still only 12 to 14 months. And I think first-time managers are still not getting a second chance, etc., etc. With me, you know, I'm almost in double figures, if not in double figures in terms of management. I think every club is different. Every game of football is different. Every challenge is different. And you learn from every experience, and I have learned from every experience, and I'm trying to bring that experience to this club, and long may that continue, the relative success that we're having at this moment in time compared to what we had last season, which was a relegation campaign all year long. I think the supporters, I love the fact that the Kidderminster Harriers supporters are loving the way that we're playing the game, or at least trying to play the game. And I think there's a lot of respect around at this moment in time, and I'm not saying for me or from Neil MacDonald. I just think there's a lot of respect for the way we're going about things, and again, long may that continue.
Well, congratulations on the anniversary. I think It's January outside.
Where's my cake?
It's minus plenty, and we managed to do this interview in the one room in the entire building is colder than it is outside.
It is cold, as you can see me breath. No, thank you very much for the congratulations, but we haven't won anything yet. Only a matter of time, though, Trev.
That's great. Thank you very much.
What do you make in general of the difference between the two divisions? Because obviously the National League, if you like, has some bigger, in inverted commas, clubs in it, some bigger stadiums maybe, perhaps a little bit more kudos, but there's still a lot of good stuff played at this level, isn't there?
When you say bigger, Matty, a lot of times I ask that question, the size of a football club, how do you relate to the size of a football club? Is it the size of the budget? Is it the size of the average gate? Is it the size of the pockets of the chairman? Is it the size of the manager, the players, whichever the case may be? And it all throws into one melting pot, when you get size. Are we a big club in this division? Yes, we are, but when you go into that National League, you've probably got 50%, if not more, have had league football experience. We have had league football experience way back in the early 2000s. We want that again. In my opinion, that's what this club deserves, but you don't deserve it unless you turn out results on a weekly basis. Getting promoted, fingers crossed, is the main aim. As was Trevor's first question, the priority is to get promoted. The second priority, if you want to call it that, is a cup run. We're at the thick end of or midway, shall we say, midway through the season campaign, but it's becoming the thick end of the competition. And to gather momentum at this stage is the important key factor, in my opinion. But the competition and the challenge that we're throwing down to the players, I think they're embracing with everything. You go to the next level, every club wants to be in that league, the EFL. Everybody wants to be in the EFL, and that's what our ambition has to be. It has to be bigger than every club. Southend, one of my former clubs that have been in there, we're talking to teams that are in the National League, and we're trying to loan players, and every one of them have got league campaign, and every player wants to play in the league. So the ambition of this club is no different from any other. We want to get up to the National League and then possibly get into the EFL in a couple of years if possible as well. So we're looking forward to the challenge, but let's see.